Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk to you today about something powerful. I want to talk to you about a secret weapon that most people overlook. It's not talent, it's not connections, it's not even sheer willpower, it's silence. Yes, you heard me right. Silence. You see, there's a tendency for people to get so excited about their dreams, their plans, their goals that they just can't wait to tell the world. They want to shout it from the rooftops, post it on social media, share it with anyone who will listen. And hey, I get it. It feels good to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be that, but let me tell you something, don't tell people. Now, why am I saying this? Because the moment you start talking about your plans, that's when the doubts start creeping in, not just from others, but from yourself. Suddenly, everyone's got an opinion, everyone's got advice, and not all of it is good. Some people will be supportive, sure, but others, they'll plant little seeds of doubt, little whispers of negativity that can throw you off track. And before you know it, you're stuck defending your dream instead of building it. Let me tell you something, you don't owe anyone an explanation. Your dream is yours. Your vision is yours. You don't need to explain, justify, or announce it. You need to build it. Because when you're silently working, no one can interfere. No one can distract you. No one can plant doubts in your mind. Have you ever seen a tree grow? I mean, really watched it. You don't see the roots taking hold. You don't see the seeds pushing through the dirt. It all happens beneath the surface, quietly, silently. But when that tree breaks through the soil, when it reaches for the sky, oh, you see it then. It's strong. It's undeniable. That's how your dreams should be. They should be like a tree growing underground, gaining strength, gaining power, until they burst into reality. By the time people notice, it's too late to stop it. It's already grown. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to dig deep, put your head down, and get to work. Build your foundation. Lay your roots. And don't tell anyone until you've got something to show, until your dream is standing tall and proud, just like that tree. Now, some of you might be thinking, but I need to share my goals. I need to get motivated, and I understand that. But motivation doesn't come from talking. It comes from action, from taking that first step, and the second, and the 100th. Each step is a promise you make to yourself, not to anyone else. You see, when you start talking too much, you lose that hunger, that drive. You get comfortable because saying, I'm going to be successful feels almost like you've already achieved it. But there's a big difference between saying you're going to do something and actually doing it. Silence is a powerful tool. It's a concept that's often misunderstood because we live in a world where people feel the need to constantly share, announce, and broadcast everything. We're encouraged to tell everyone about our goals, our next big move, our ambitions. But there's something to be said about keeping things to yourself, especially when it comes to your dreams and aspirations. The moment you start talking about your plans, you invite opinions, doubts, and distractions into your space. Sometimes those doubts don't even come from others, they creep into your own mind because you're constantly having to explain and defend your vision. When you keep your plans a secret, you're protecting them. You're creating a space where your dreams can grow without interference. Think about it, when a plant is just a seed, it's fragile. It needs to be nurtured, shielded from harsh elements, and given time to take root. Your dreams are no different. In the early stages, they're vulnerable. They're easily influenced by the opinions of others and by the insecurities that come from opening yourself up to criticism. By keeping your goals to yourself, you're giving them the time and space they need to grow strong roots. When you share your plans prematurely, you're also inviting the pressure of expectations. Suddenly, people are watching, waiting, and asking, how's that project going, or when are you going to finish that? It can be a heavy burden to carry, especially when things don't go as planned. But if you keep your dreams to yourself, there's no pressure to meet anyone's expectations but your own. You're free to move at your own pace, to make mistakes, and to learn without the fear of judgment. This freedom is crucial because it allows you to focus on what really matters, the work. When you're silently working on your goals, no one sees the setbacks, the late nights, the countless revisions, and the small wins. No one sees the process, and that's a good thing. Because success isn't about the glamour or the spotlight, it's about the grind. It's about showing up every day, putting in the effort, and doing what needs to be done, even when no one is watching. By keeping your plans under wraps, you're preserving the purity of your vision. You're allowing yourself to be fully immersed in the process without the distraction of external noise. Another reason to keep your plans a secret is to avoid external negativity. Let's face it, not everyone will support your dreams. Some people might not understand your vision, and others might actively discourage you from pursuing it. They might tell you it's impossible, that you're dreaming too big, or that you're not capable. If you share your plans too soon, you run the risk of letting those negative voices take root in your mind. Even the most confident person can be shaken by a well-placed seed of doubt. By keeping your plans to yourself, you're protecting your mental space. You're ensuring that your focus remains sharp and that your belief in yourself remains unshaken. There's also a psychological element to this. When you announce your plans, your brain gets a little hit of satisfaction, almost as if you've already accomplished something. It feels good to say, I'm going to start a business or I'm going to run a marathon. But the problem is that feeling can sometimes replace the motivation to actually do the work. You feel like you've achieved something just by saying it out loud, and as a result, you lose the drive to follow through. By staying silent, you keep that hunger alive. You maintain that fire in your belly, that need to prove something to yourself because you haven't said anything to anyone. Keeping your plans a secret is also a way to take ownership of your dreams. It's a statement to yourself that you don't need validation from anyone else. Your goals are yours, and you're willing to work for them quietly, without applause, without recognition, and without approval. This sense of ownership is powerful because it strengthens your resolve. It makes you more resilient when you encounter obstacles because you're not doing it for anyone else, you're doing it for you. In a world where everyone is trying to get attention, there's something incredibly powerful about working quietly behind the scenes. It's a different kind of strength, one that doesn't need to be seen to be real. It's the kind of strength that builds slowly, steadily, until one day it's undeniable. That's the power of silence. That's the power of keeping your plans a secret. When you do this, you're giving yourself the best chance to succeed. You're building a foundation that can withstand any storm because it's rooted deeply in your own quiet determination. Building in the dark means embracing the idea of working behind the scenes, away from the spotlight, and focusing solely on the grind. When you're building your dreams, the initial stages are often the most fragile, the most susceptible to external influences. That's why it's important to protect them by keeping them out of sight until they're strong enough to stand on their own. When you build in the dark, you're not distracted by what others think, what they expect, or how they might react. You're focused entirely on your craft, your mission, and your vision. Think about some of the greatest achievements in history. Many of them were built quietly, without fanfare, without a big announcement. Whether it was the launch of a new invention, a groundbreaking piece of art, or a revolutionary business, the people behind these successes weren't out there shouting about their plans. They were too busy working, too busy perfecting their craft, too busy making sure that when they did step into the light, they were ready. There's a certain kind of magic in working quietly. It allows you to experiment, to take risks, and to make mistakes without the fear of judgment. When no one is watching, there's no pressure to get everything right the first time. You can fail, learn, and try again as many times as you need to, all without the scrutiny that comes with being in the public eye. This freedom to explore and innovate is essential because it's how real growth happens. It's how you develop resilience, creativity, and problem-solving skills. Building in the dark also means you're less likely to be influenced by external noise. When you're constantly sharing your plans, it's easy to get caught up in what others are doing or saying. You start comparing yourself to others, doubting their progress and questioning your methods. But when you're working quietly, you're not distracted by what's going on around you. You focus entirely on your journey, your process, and your path. This kind of focus is invaluable because it keeps you moving forward, even when the going gets tough. There's also a strategic advantage to building in the dark. When you keep your plans to yourself, you maintain control over your narrative. You decide when, how, and if you want to share what you've been working on. This can be particularly important if you're developing something new or innovative because it prevents others from copying or undermining your ideas. By the time anyone knows what you're up to, it's already too late for them to do anything about it. Your success is already in motion, and there's no stopping it. One of the most powerful aspects of building in the dark is the element of surprise. When you work quietly, you're not raising expectations or setting yourself up for scrutiny. Instead, you're letting your work speak for itself when it's ready. There's nothing more impactful than revealing your success when no one saw it coming. It's a statement that says, I don't need to talk about what I'm doing, because my results will speak louder than any words ever could. This kind of reveal is memorable because it's unexpected. It catches people off guard, and it forces them to pay attention. But more than anything, building in the dark is about respecting the process. It's about understanding that real success doesn't happen overnight. And it doesn't happen just because you want it to. It happens because you've put in the hours, the effort, and the dedication to make it a reality. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of success, but the truth is, the journey is just as important as the destination. When you're working quietly, you're embracing the journey. You're allowing yourself to fully immerse in the work, to appreciate the small victories, and to learn from the challenges. The dark is where champions are made. It's where the groundwork is laid, where the foundation is built. It's where you learn who you are, what you're capable of, and how far you're willing to go to make your dreams a reality. When you step into the light, people see the results, but they don't see the long hours, the sleepless nights, and the sacrifices you made. They don't see the failures, the setbacks, and the moments of doubt. But those are the things that shape you, that make you stronger, and that prepare you for the success you've been working towards. When you're building in the dark, you're not looking for approval, validation, or recognition. You're doing it because it matters to you, because it's a part of who you are, and because you believe in what you're building. That kind of drive, that kind of passion doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It just needs the right conditions to grow. And sometimes the best conditions are found away from the spotlight, away from the noise, in the quiet, unobserved corners where you can build, create, and thrive. Avoiding distractions is one of the most crucial aspects of achieving success. In a world that's constantly trying to grab your attention, staying focused on your goals is not just difficult, it's a skill that must be developed and nurtured. When you have a dream or a plan, it's easy to get excited and start sharing it with everyone around you. But the moment you do that, you open yourself up to distractions. Suddenly, you're not just dealing with your own thoughts and challenges, you're navigating the opinions, questions, and judgments of others. That's why it's so important to keep your focus sharp, avoid distractions, and stay grounded in your purpose. Distractions come in many forms. Sometimes they're external, like people who constantly want updates on your progress or who question the feasibility of your plans. They might mean well, but their questions can start to plant seeds of doubt. They can make you second guess yourself, and that hesitation can slow you down. Other times, distractions are internal. They're little voices in your head that start to wonder if you're on the right path, if you're capable, if you should change direction. And then there are the countless opportunities and ideas that pop up along the way, tempting you to shift your focus, try something new, or take a shortcut. But here's the truth: success requires discipline. It requires the ability to block out the noise and focus on the task at hand. It means saying no to things that don't align with your vision, even if they seem exciting or easier in the moment. When you're constantly jumping from one idea to another, you're not building anything solid. You're just skimming the surface, and real success doesn't happen at the surface level. It happens when you're willing to dig deep, to put in the work, and to stay consistent, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, and even when no one else believes in what you're doing. One of the most effective ways to avoid distractions is to keep your plans to yourself. When you share your goals with others, you invite their opinions, and not all opinions are created equal. Some people will support you, but others might be skeptical, dismissive, or even envious. They might not understand your vision, and that's okay because they don't need to. Your dream is yours, and it doesn't need to be validated by anyone else. By keeping your plans private, you protect yourself from the unnecessary noise. You keep your energy focused, and you maintain control over your vision. Another reason to avoid distractions is that they can dilute your effort. When you're trying to do too many things at once, you're not giving your full attention to any of them. You're spreading yourself thin, and that makes it harder to excel in any one area. But when you're focused, when you've made the decision to concentrate on one goal, you can pour all of your energy, creativity, and effort into making that goal a reality. That's how great things are built, not by juggling a dozen different projects, but by committing fully to one and seeing it through to the end. Staying grounded in your purpose also means being aware of your own tendencies to get distracted. It means recognizing when you're avoiding the hard work by seeking out something new and shiny. It's easy to convince yourself that you're being productive when you're exploring new ideas, but sometimes that's just a way of avoiding the real work that needs to be done. Success is about consistency, and consistency means showing up day after day, putting in the effort, and sticking to the plan. Even when it's not exciting, even when it's challenging, and even when it feels like progress is slow. There's a discipline that comes from focusing on one thing, and it builds a kind of strength that's hard to describe. It's the strength of knowing that you've stayed the course, that you've done what you said you were going to do, and that you didn't let anything distract you from your path. That kind of discipline is what separates those who talk about their dreams from those who actually achieve them. It's easy to get excited about a new idea, but it's much harder to stick with it when the excitement fades and all that's left is the work. Distractions will always be there. There will always be people who have opinions, opportunities that seem easier, and challenges that make you want to quit. But if you can learn to avoid those distractions, if you can learn to stay focused and grounded in your purpose, then you give yourself the best chance of success. You give yourself the chance to build something real, something lasting, something that's a true reflection of your vision and your effort. So keep your focus. Avoid the distractions. Stay grounded in your purpose. Don't let the noise of the world pull you away from what matters most. Because when you're focused, when you're dedicated, and when you're willing to do the work, there's nothing that can stand in your way. You don't need to announce your plans because the results will speak for themselves. Actions speak louder than words. This phrase is often repeated, but it carries a truth that many people overlook, especially when it comes to pursuing goals and dreams. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in the need to talk about what we're going to do, to announce our plans to the world, and to seek validation from others before we've even begun. But the real measure of success isn't in the promises you make, it's in the results you deliver. That's why it's so important to focus on action over words, to let your work speak for itself, and to show your commitment through what you do, not what you say. When you talk about your plans, it can create a sense of accomplishment even before you've taken the first step. It feels good to tell people you're going to start a business, write a book, or run a marathon. It gives you a little hit of satisfaction because it feels like you're moving toward your goal. But that feeling can be misleading because it tricks your brain into thinking you've already achieved something, when in reality you haven't. Talking about your plans can sometimes drain the energy and motivation you need to actually do the work. That's why it's more powerful to keep your intentions to yourself and focus on taking consistent, tangible actions that move you closer to your goal. When you choose action over words, you're not just showing the world what you're capable of, you're proving it to yourself. Every step you take, every task you complete, builds your confidence and strengthens your resolve. You start to see progress, even if it's small at first, and that progress fuels your motivation. You begin to realize that you don't need to tell people what you're going to do because your actions are already laying the groundwork for your success. You're creating a foundation that others will see only when it's strong and undeniable. Another reason why action is more important than words is that actions are tangible. Words are abstract. They're ideas and promises that may or may not be fulfilled, but actions are concrete. They're evidence that you're committed, that you're willing to do what it takes to reach your goals. When you take action, you're not just saying, I want to be successful, you're showing, I'm working to be successful. There's a big difference between the two. One is a wish, the other is a plan in motion. People respect actions, they respect results. You can spend all day telling people what you're going to do, but until they see you doing it, those words don't mean much. When you let your work speak for itself, you don't need to convince anyone of your potential, they can see it in your progress. Actions have a way of cutting through doubt, skepticism, and negativity. They make it clear that you're serious, that you're not just talking but actually doing. This kind of credibility can't be bought or faked. It's earned one step at a time. Focusing on action over words also helps you to stay grounded. When you're constantly talking about your plans, It's easy to get swept up in the excitement of what could be instead of focusing on what you need to do right now. But when you're in action mode, your attention is on the present, on the next step you need to take. You're not thinking about how impressive your plans sound, you're thinking about how to make those plans a reality. This shift in focus keeps you humble, disciplined, and motivated to keep moving forward. There's also something empowering about not needing to announce your plans to the world. It shows that you're confident in your ability to make things happen without the need for external validation. You're not looking for approval or applause, you're looking for results. And when those results come, they'll speak louder than any words you could have said. The satisfaction of achieving something through hard work and persistence is far greater than the fleeting gratification of telling someone about it. In a way, focusing on action over words is a mindset shift. It's about understanding that success is built, not declared. It's about realizing that every small, consistent action adds up, even if it doesn't seem like much at the time. It's about embracing the grind, the hustle, and the process, knowing that these things are what will ultimately bring your goals to life. When you commit to action, you're not just wishing for success, you're creating it. You're building something real, something that will stand the test of time because it's been built on effort, persistence, and dedication. Choosing action over words is a commitment to yourself. It's a promise that you're going to do whatever it takes to reach your goals, even if no one else sees the work you're putting in. It's about trusting the process, having faith in your own abilities, and being willing to show up day after day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it. Because at the end of the day, it's not what you say that defines you, it's what you do. And when you're consistent in your actions, the results will speak for themselves. People will see your success, and they'll know it wasn't just talk. It was earned. The concept of action over words is a principle that separates the dreamers from the achievers. In a world where it's easy to declare your intentions, to talk about what you plan to do, and to seek validation before even taking the first step, it's more important than ever to focus on action. Actions are what make things happen. Words are just promises, but actions are proof. When you commit to action over words, you're saying that you're willing to put in the work, to show up, and to let your results speak for themselves. That's where true success lies. Many people get caught up in the idea of talking about their goals because it feels good. It feels good to say, I'm going to start a business or I'm going to write a book. It gives you a sense of accomplishment before you've even begun. But that's the trap. When you share your plans, you're giving yourself a premature sense of achievement. It's like a small burst of gratification that can make you feel like you've already done something, even though you haven't taken any real steps. This can actually take away some of the drive and motivation you need to push forward, to grind, and to make that goal a reality. That's why it's better to focus on taking action first and letting the results do the talking. When you act instead of just speaking, you're showing yourself and others that you're serious. There's a big difference between saying you're going to do something and actually doing it. Words are easy. They don't require much effort, and they don't demand much sacrifice. Actions, on the other hand, require commitment, discipline, and resilience. There's a strength in staying quiet about your plans and just doing the work. It allows you to maintain your focus, avoid distractions, and concentrate on the task at hand. When you keep your intentions to yourself, you don't have to worry about other people's opinions, expectations, or doubts. You don't have to explain yourself or justify your actions to anyone. You can work on your own terms in your own way without the pressure of having to live up to what you've said. This freedom gives you the space to experiment, to make mistakes, and to learn without the fear of being judged. Actions are also more powerful because they're visible. When you start taking steps toward your goals, people will notice. They'll see the progress you're making, the changes you're implementing, and the results you're achieving. You won't need to convince anyone of your abilities because your work will do that for you. The best part is that actions don't just speak louder than words, they speak more clearly. They show exactly what you're capable of and how serious you are about your goals. There's no room for misinterpretation because the results are there and they're undeniable. Focusing on action also keeps you grounded. It keeps you from getting too caught up in the excitement of what could be and forces you to deal with what is. It brings you back to the reality of what needs to be done, step by step. This kind of focus helps you to build momentum. Every action you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Every bit of progress is a step forward, and each step builds on the one before it. Over time, these small actions add up to something significant, something real, and that's what leads to success. There's also an integrity in letting your actions speak. It shows that you're not just trying to impress people with grand promises. You're proving your worth through your efforts, through the work you put in when no one is watching. This builds credibility. When people see that you follow through, that you do what you say you're going to do, they start to trust you. They start to take you seriously. But that trust isn't built by talking, it's built by consistent action. It's earned over time through hard work, persistence, and dedication. Another reason actions are more effective than words is because they're measurable. You can see the results of what you've done. You can track your progress, see what's working, and adjust your approach if necessary. Words don't give you that feedback. They don't show you where you need to improve, where you're succeeding, or where you're falling short. But actions do. They provide real, tangible outcomes that you can learn from. They give you a clear picture of where you stand and what you need to do next. In many ways, choosing action over words is about choosing to be a creator instead of just a commentator. It's about building something tangible instead of just imagining it. It's about getting your hands dirty, putting in the effort, and being willing to do the hard things that lead to real growth. Anyone can talk about their plans, but only those who are truly committed will take the actions necessary to see those plans through to completion. And that's the difference between success and failure. When you focus on action, you also develop a stronger sense of self-discipline. You learn to prioritize, to manage your time, and to stay committed even when things get tough. You learn that success isn't about making big, sweeping changes all at once. It's about taking small, consistent steps every single day. It's about showing up, putting in the work, and not getting discouraged by the obstacles that come your way. That's the power of action. It doesn't just help you achieve your goals, it helps you become the kind of person who can achieve them. Letting your work speak for itself is a philosophy that goes beyond the simple act of doing. It's about creating a legacy through your actions, your consistency, and your commitment to excellence. In a world where people are quick to talk about their goals and ambitions, there's something powerful about stepping back and letting your results do the talking. When you allow your work to speak for itself, you're making a statement without saying a word. You're showing that you don't need to convince anyone of your potential, because your achievements make it clear. One of the reasons why this approach is so effective is that it forces you to focus on the quality of your work. When you're not relying on words to impress others, you're left with only one way to prove your worth: by delivering results. This means you have to be thorough, diligent, and committed to doing your best. You can't hide behind empty promises or vague statements about what you plan to do in the future. You have to put in the work, day in and day out, and ensure that what you produce is a true reflection of your abilities and dedication. Allowing your work to speak for itself also builds trust and credibility. When people see that you consistently deliver high-quality results, they begin to trust you. They know that when you commit to something, you'll follow through. This kind of trust can't be bought. It has to be earned over time through repeated actions. And once you've earned it, it opens doors. People will start to seek you out. Opportunities will come your way. And you'll find that you no longer have to chase success, because it will come looking for you. This approach keeps you grounded. When you focus on the work rather than the talk, you're less likely to get caught up in seeking approval or validation from others. You're not working for applause, you're working because you believe in what you're doing. This sense of purpose keeps you motivated even when things get tough. It reminds you that the journey is just as important as the destination, and that the true measure of success isn't in what others think of you, but in what you've accomplished through your own efforts. There's also a certain level of discipline that comes with letting your work speak for itself. It requires you to show up every day, to stay consistent, and to keep pushing forward even when progress is slow. It teaches you to be patient, to understand that great things take time, and that real success doesn't happen overnight. When you're focused on the work, you're less likely to get distracted by shortcuts or quick fixes. You're in it for the long haul. And that kind of persistence is what sets you apart from those who are just looking for the next big opportunity. Another benefit of this approach is that it allows you to maintain control over your narrative. When you let your work speak, you don't have to worry about explaining yourself, defending your choices, or justifying your actions. Your results are your defense. They're your explanation. This gives you a sense of freedom because you're not bound by other people's expectations or opinions. You're free to pursue your goals in your own way, on your own terms, without the need to prove yourself to anyone else. When you allow your work to speak, you also create a lasting impact. Words are fleeting, they can be forgotten or misunderstood. But the things you build, the projects you complete, and the results you achieve are tangible. They're real. They can't be ignored or dismissed. They stand as proof of your effort, your skills, and your dedication. This kind of impact doesn't fade over time. It continues to speak for you long after you've moved on to the next challenge. There's also a quiet confidence that comes with letting your work do the talking. It's a confidence that doesn't need to shout, because it knows that actions will always speak louder than words. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't waver even when others doubt you, because it's rooted in something real and solid. When you know that you've done the work, that you've given your best, and that your results are a reflection of that effort, there's no need to prove anything to anyone. Your work has already done that for you. This approach also teaches you the value of humility. When you let your work speak, you're not seeking praise or recognition. You're not trying to make yourself the center of attention. You're simply doing what needs to be done, to the best of your ability. This kind of humility is rare, but it's also incredibly powerful because it shows that you're focused on the process, not the rewards. It shows that you're driven by a sense of purpose, not by a desire for applause. And that's the kind of mindset that leads to true, lasting success. Letting your work speak for itself is about understanding that actions are more meaningful than words. It's about knowing that real achievements don't need to be announced because they will be seen. It's about realizing that the best way to show your value is through what you do, not what you say. This doesn't mean you have to be silent or invisible. It just means that you prioritize doing the work over talking about it. It means that when you do speak, your words carry more weight because they're backed by real accomplishments. Thanks for your important time.